order to attain the impossible, one must attempt the absurd. Ladies and gentlemen, as a student, I know it's absurd that I have attempted this monstrous 1,000-page book. But isn't that the point of life? To attempt the absurd even if it seems insane to others? As a student, I often find myself caught between what the world expects and what my heart dreams of. So today, I, Al-Zikri Hang Bin Hong Kianbeng from SMK Dataon, want to talk about this marvelous book, Don Quixote by Miguel de Cervantes Saavedra. So, what is it about? It is about a man named Alonso Quixano who is obsessed with storybooks and novels that he decides to embark on an adventurous journey to become a knight, alongside a horse named Rocinante and wearing armor that is old and rusty. He sets out on an adventure where he meets Sancho Panza, an ordinary, uneducated, but clever peasant. He becomes so immersed in his imagination that he later renames himself as Don Quixote, the name that we all remember till this day. The entire novel revolves around his adventurous journey. Don Quixote saw windmills as giants and dirty inns as castles. But he was mocked and beaten up by others, although he was preserved and never gave up. As crazy as he was, he believed he was doing all this for the justice and honor of his beloved lady, Dulcinea. Although his adventure might have ended on a solemn note where he was forced to return home and later regaining his sanity on his deathbed, he was still was remembered as the brave Don Quixote. This novel is both satire and a deep reflection on human nature. Don Quixote is not simply a foolish character, but his strong belief in honor, justice, and courage makes him admired by others despite his delusions. This creates a balance between comedy and tragedy, encouraging us to question whether his madness is entirely negative. His bond with Sancho Panza, who represents common sense and realism, further highlights the central theme of imagination versus reality. To be perfectly honest, I, as a student, noticed this expectation that we need to face exactly as the world it is. If we were to see a windmill that there was a giant, we were brought back to reality and reminded it is just a windmill. But as a creative person, it is hard to confirm these reality checks. Isn't it better to be a dreamer who changes things than a sane person who sits still and does nothing? If life were a race and we are the spectators looking at two people, who would we say lived the fuller life? I'd say it's the former, and in a way, I am the former. At least that's what I want to be. So the next time you see a windmill, I want you to have the courage to see a giant. If someone tells you that your imaginations are too wild or your dreams are too big, I hope you ignore their voices and listen to the craziness in you. I hope you choose to run the race with me, make mistakes with me, and face the challenges with me instead of sitting and watching from the sidelines. Because ladies and gentlemen, at the end of the day, a life lived with a little bit of craziness is a life that lives to its fullest. Thank you.